The U.S. is preparing to escalate its trade war with China as President Joe Biden plans to quadruple tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. Let's bring in Will McDonough, who follows this space closely as the chairman and CEO of Corestone Capital. And Will, let's talk about the signal of this relative to the impact. Is this really going to dent, some of these Chinese players? Because as I understand, their exposure to the U.S. consumer is already so little.
It is so little, although I do believe that people bought them based on the promise that they were expanding into these markets and that there was future revenue growth coming from that. So I don't think it's not priced into those stocks, and I can see those being harmed. I think the signal of this also is a positive signal to U.S. OEMs, Ford, GM, and Stellantis, who were retreating a bit from their commitments to EV because of this Chinese competition. And if this policy level sets the playing field for them to compete on price and on margin with the Chinese companies, then I think that's net good for the U.S. companies who hopefully will stick to their net zero targets. And
yet we had a company like Zeekr, Chinese-based EV, go public, surge 35% in its first day. It's up another 7% today.
Yeah, I mean, never bet against China. They're not necessarily a democracy. They don't play by the same rules. They have, no minimum wage. They have, an upper hand when it comes to the ability to produce the cheapest vehicles. Oh, by the way, they also have hoarded and controlled the supply of the lithium, nickel, copper, and cobalt necessary to build all of these battery technology. So China's not being sucked out of this global market at all. There are a lot of Chinese to self-consume, and there are a lot of other consumers than U.S. consumers.
What does this mean for Tesla? On one hand, does it protect it in the U.S. Versus, the harm of potential retaliation in China, which is such an important market for them?
Yeah, you've seen Elon Musk be quite proactive in his relations with China. He was there within the last 4 to 6 weeks, saying very nice things about China. He understands how important they are. But also Tesla and Elon have been brilliant over the course of the past 5 or 10 years of shoring up their own supply chain outside of the Chinese ecosystem. And so I actually think Tesla is the best positioned of all of the companies to be self-sustaining and therefore not dependent on Chinese supply chain for any of their battery materials. Not any, I shouldn't say, it's never going to be any, but the majority of their battery materials are going to be from their own supply chain, as opposed to the rest of the car companies that are competing with Tesla and competing with the Chinese companies still have to go to China to get their battery metals and to get other pieces of their supply chain, which will allow China to manipulate those prices up, which will cause, those companies to charge higher prices for those EVs.
Because Tesla is still one of your favorite names, there was their product launch chief that quit and had some pretty spicy comments kind of on his way out the door, saying that the recent layoffs are rocking the company. Its morale has been thrown, into disharmony, and it's hard to see the long game. Do you worry about things like layoffs having an effect on the culture and thus execution?
I don't at all. A lot of what Tesla lauds is their capacity to automate. I think that they're realizing that between AI and robotics, which are major focuses and major investments of their R&D budgets, that the future manufacturing of Teslas is going to be less people dependent. And so I think when you see, them take a major step back, it's always easy to add jobs, but when you cut jobs, you want to do it broadly and quickly. And so I actually applaud them for having done that. They can always add those jobs back, but I think they're taking a little bit of the poison up front, and they know that, that'll make them a healthier balance sheet moving forward. Of course, people that leave are going to be surly and unhappy with the direction because that direction, is not what they chose it to be. But at the end of the day, Elon Musk is the Steve Jobs of Tesla, and the direction that he wants to take that company is the direction it's going to go.
We are in the midst of an EV slowdown and a slump that's affecting everybody. And yet you find areas to be bullish. And just, how do you hang on to your conviction? What's kind of your North Star guiding you through a choppy period?
My North Star is the net zero commitments that all of these global governments have made. largely made outside of time that the current administrations will still be in place. But people have said by 2030, by 2035, by 2040, we're going to be carbon neutral, which I think is a crazy statement. But it's neither here nor there. What that means is for the next decade, policies are going to support consumers going green in any manner: solar, wind, EV, whatever that adoption might be. And so whenever you have global governments making those massive commitments, Fortune 500s making those massive commitments, policy is going to match that, and policy is going to continue to pull that maturation and that transition forward. And so my North Star continues to be these commitments that people would be too embarrassed to abandon, and therefore will stay convicted with.